Well, this has already been quite a morning. So with great thanks to everyone who's been part of it, google.org and Microsoft for the kicking us off. One of the things Jennifer mentioned, I run our Public Service Leadership Institute, and I'm the Vice Public Service Leadership here at the partnership. A few of the things that we teach in our programming have been mentioned in the last panel. We think about curiosity and empathy, innovation, communication, so many of those leadership skills. And in the spirit of respecting all of your time, I'm going to use a couple of them because two of the core skills that we teach are agility and managing change. And so we're all going to partner together on hopefully making this a really engaging and quick conversation that touches on some of the key themes that we've already heard about today and highlights that in the context of our AI Federal Leadership Program, now called our AI Government Leadership Program, which I'll come back to in a second. And the two people that we have with us, Rick and Sam, have an incredibly, each of them, distinguished career in federal public service. I'll share a little bit about that, but their backgrounds really speak for themselves. And in our program, for anyone, keep this real quick, but for anyone who's not already familiar with it, we've been running this program since 2019, a testament to all of the participants in it, including many of the people in this room who make that program possible. And we've run it for roughly 600 federal civil servants. And one of the things that's been amazing to us is it's really focused on leaders and decision making, right? What does it mean to decide whether or not a sort of AI solution is the right solution in that moment? How do we create a culture that's ready for that kind of change and innovation? How do we think strategically and bring our teams along with us? How do we put all of that together and also think about what it means to connect that sort of strategic piece with something tangible, which we do through AI use cases that create that real example of how we can put AI to tremendous use for the government. So the program, 6-month program, that takes place over both virtual and in person. For anyone who might want to learn more about it, let me know. I'm happy to chat afterward. But we have gotten so much success out of that program and have heard so many sort of testimonials to its value. Have also heard from a lot of people at the state and local level saying that this is something that would be valuable to them. So in partnership with our partners, we are expanding it for the first time in a few weeks to state and local government as well, and are excited for the opportunity to see the new ways that we can help in the AI space and create better adoption. So I'm going to keep our intros a little bit truncated in the spirit of time, and so you can hear from our distinguished panel. I do want to note, though, that Rick is the former Deputy Secretary for Management at the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, oversaw national cemeteries, where he oversaw design and construction projects at 156 national cemeteries across the United States. I held different roles before that at the VA and before that Department of Justice. So a long commitment to service for which we are grateful. And Sam, former Associate Commissioner for the Office of Electronic Services and Technology at the Social Security Administration, led the Office of Income Security Programs before that, and really has a role that has spanned so many of the leadership skills and different sort of functions that we've talked about. So with that, we want to jump into what was your experience like in the program, but let's focus in particular on what are a couple of the key takeaways that you thought were most valuable as federal civil servants and leaders in your own spaces to bring back to your roles in service of the American public.
Yeah, so for this answer, quick raise of hands, who works in IT? Okay, that's great. I think this program should really be directed at the business lines and operational folks. The IT people, I was in IT for a long time, got a lot out of this program, but the business people are the ones that need to come and understand what this can do, because it's going to change their business, right? We're just providing the tool. AI is the tool. That's what IT does, is we provide the tools to satisfy the business requirements. But those business partners, they need to understand how their world's going to change. And if they don't understand this technology and the governance around it and the policy around it and all that kind of stuff, they're going to be not good partners in that conversation. So you got to get your partners from the business side. Second, you as leaders need to be getting your GS-12s, your 11s, your 9s to start understanding what AI is. Because, you know, to talk about efficiency and improving government, it's those people that know what needs to be improved, right? We as executives are so far away from the work that we did once, but that was 20 years ago, right? And the work has changed since we've been there. So you need to get your 9s, your 11s, your 12s to really start understanding this. And your first and second line supervisors to start understanding. They're the ones that are going to have the ideas of what can change. And the third thing that I would say is, I think Nishant talked about it earlier, is risk. What if AI makes a bad decision? I think Matt said, it got loopy and it started giving bad answers, right? That happens with your humans right now, right? So don't shy away from the technology just because you're afraid that it's going to make bad decisions. We generally operate in highly regulated organizations, and we have processes to handle bad decisions, right? We made benefit decisions at the VA. People had appeal rights when we got it wrong. And we got it wrong a lot because we did millions and millions and millions of applications and benefit decisions every year. So don't shy away from that risk just because the computer might get it wrong. I hate to break it to you. Your humans are going to get it wrong more than your computer's going to get it wrong. So trust the technology and trust your processes. Make your quality assurance better. Make your auditing better so that you can improve that with a feedback loop.
I love that. That's perfect. Do you want to jump in,
That's
Sam?
hard. That's really hard to follow. My takeaway would be focus. It's really easy to get really excited about all the use cases that you could possibly apply AI to. We all have a lot of problems. We all have enormous opportunities in our businesses to create efficiencies, to create better customer outcomes. But figuring out where to focus is probably the number one challenge. And then bringing your other stakeholders along on that journey is a really important element of success. I think, the need for AI not to be an IT or a CIO function is fundamental. And you can't just have lawyers and engineers in the room. You've got to have operational business stakeholders in the room to help as well. But focus is number one. You have a finite budget. Where are you going to spend it? And what are you going to, where are you going to maximize that investment for the public?
That's terrific. So you have both been in government since before AI was really a topic, and through the years when it has really changed and transformed, and we've seen generative AI and other technology really come to the fore. So what are the ways in which you see a real opportunity? And to your point, you always want to weigh, risks and responsibilities and be really thoughtful about where the incredible opportunities are. But where are the places that you see opportunities for leaders like yourselves across levels of government to really be thoughtful about how they can use AI on behalf of the American public?
I would say use it wherever you can. Everybody's always looking for the streamlined end-to-end process that bakes all these great things like AI and workflows and all that stuff into it. Take it where you can get it. So the use case that I used in my class was around, I was the head of contract activity for my organization. I used it in procurement, and it was talking to Wole, who said, hey, by the way, Microsoft is doing a pilot with VA right now and with our Copilot product. You should look into that. So we looked at just writing better statements of work, right? AI to write better statements of work, because that's where contracts fail. Contracts don't fail because the vendors were bad. They fail because we write bad statements of work and we don't describe what it is. So use that tool to write a better, because the people writing the statements of work are not the contracting experts. I worked in IT for a long time. It was my data center guy that wrote the statement of work, who was great at running a data center, lousy at writing statements of work and describing the work in writing that needed to be done, right? So leverage the tools. And yeah, it wasn't an end-to-end solution, but our process really wasn't end-to-end either. People wrote the statements of work in Microsoft Word. So go ahead and use Copilot to help you write that in Word and then send it on its merry way through email to the contracting officer to do the next part of the process. Don't get hung up on, I got to have this end-to-end solution, right? I got to have this total acquisition system that ties all this stuff together. Use it where you can get it.
I love that. Humans and AI can in fact work together, right?
Yeah.
This is how we innovate and how we serve the public. So do you want to?
I would
take
say
this?
find your biggest challenge, right? And assess whether or not AI is a good solution for that challenge. At the end of the day, my use case was involving our policy catalog. We have 500,000 pages of policy that employees have to go through to perform a task or a workload, and indexing that, putting smart search on that, and then applying AI to that, and then pushing that policy ultimately in a CRM for workflows is a massive transformation at SSA that enables, efficiency. It enables consistent customer. It, enables quality and program savings because you're not having individual technicians, re-adjudicate everything. Are they involved? Absolutely. But if they know the logical next step that they need to take when they're interacting with a customer, I think it really has the potential to transform how we do business. And that would be pick your biggest challenge and figure out how AI can enable that solution.
I love that, right? This is a moment we have to prioritize, and we work with so many incredible public servants across the country, and there is so much on their shoulders and so many people in this room. So in the interest of time, which we want to be respectful of, we'll keep this last piece of 30 seconds. I want to recognize a couple of people and we'll wrap up. So we've heard today across panels, be bold, think about how to innovate, be empathetic so that you can bring people along with you as you build teams. We've heard so many sort of different pieces of advice that we can package together to really bring AI into government in new and exciting ways. So what would be your version of be bold, be empathetic? What would you most like the room to take away from this conversation and their path forward as it relates to AI in government?
I'd say find other people who are equally excited and create a little team of insurmountable transformers in your organization who want to use technology to improve your business. That would be my number one piece of advice, is find the other people who are really excited about the technology, keep learning. I left the program feeling like I was already behind the 8 ball, like I had so much more to learn. It was barely a smidge to get me excited. And then, it has felt like just an accelerated learning curve ever since. But find other people who want to be part of the journey and bring them along.
Yeah, I absolutely. I would agree with that. I think that's where my use case, because we started doing it actually, so I don't want to out myself from the program. I guess I graduated, so I can. I had AI write 70% of my final product paper for this course.
Sounds perfectly aligned with the objectives.
Because they gave us a list of questions that we had to answer, and I just kept feeding those questions into the tool. Don't be afraid to play with it. It's like they talked about having computers when they were young. I'm older than the guys on the last panel, so the box that I had, you had to write your own DOS commands and stuff like that. So that's when I was using it in the 80s. And I've always said to people, don't be afraid about breaking the computer. You can't break the computer, right? You can't break the software. It can go a little haywire, but you can't break it. So just keep playing with it. Start using these tools. Use it in your personal life. The first time I used AI was I'm a volunteer scout leader, and I had to write a newsletter. I had it write the newsletter article for me, and within 5 seconds it gave me a whole page, and I said, shorten that. That's all I said, and it got it down to 2 paragraphs. Right? That was my first entree into using AI. So don't be afraid to. If you've never played with it, go out, start using some of these tools, start using it, not in a work setting, something that you're very comfortable with, start using that and just start playing with it and make your employees start learning about this, because the resistance, right, of AI is going to take my job. No, I started as a budget analyst. I spent a lot of time not analyzing. What I did was I took data and I put it in spreadsheets, and then I made charts and graphs, right? That is the low level work that AI is absolutely suited for right now, and can do much better than we can, and not transcribe the numbers wrong and all that kind of stuff, right? And then spend your time actually analyzing, right? Using the human, this is still the best computer in the world, right? So we got to start using this to take that data, take that information, and making better business decisions, right? And really transforming our organizations and making them a better place for the American public.
All right. Well, those seem like great comments to wrap up. I mean, the point of the program, as you guys know, is not to provide everything there is to know about AI, but to get people excited about it, to take people who aren't familiar with it and say, let's help you be ready to have these conversations and think about how you would bring your team along. And it's amazing to me, even tremendous AI, that there are still a lot of people who, which I fully respect and understand, who need that first opportunity to say, the language, give me the community so that I can start talking about this and I can use it in a transformation way in the interest of service to this nation. So I'm grateful for you both. Before we leave, I do want to acknowledge, I think that there are a number of other program participants who have gone through the program in the room. So if you're willing to raise a hand, I would just like to recognize, and if you don't feel like it, that's fine as well. But I want to say we appreciate so much the work that you guys have put into it and the leadership that you have. And with that, we're going to wrap. Back to Jennifer, and thank you to everyone.